Stalag Luft IV was a rather real large prison camp, and it was divided into 3 sections, A, B, C, and D. D section were the Russians, the Poles, and all other foreigners. We had about 2 to 3 fences around us, and there wasn't no way in the devil that you're going to get over a fence. Each compound had a tower that extended quite high over the fences and over all the barracks with 2 men and a machine gun. They took care of you in advance that you try to climb a fence. Food was scarce. That was the #1 thing. Food, you just didn't get any, period. But if we happened to get a Red Cross parcel, it was supposed to be 1 parcel per man for a week. Well, they give us 1 parcel for 4 men for a week. And in the parcel, we'd have powdered milk, cubed sugar, some butter, meat, crackers, maybe a small package of cigarettes, maybe a deck of cards once in a while. I got a sweater one time and unraveled it, made a ball out of it, and made some shoes because I didn't have any shoes, and made me a cap with some flaps on it to come down over my ears. But that was the big thing. Food, 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 and food. We walked to evade the Russians. The Russians were coming, the Russians were coming. And the Germans didn't want us to fall into the hands of the Russians because the Russians would give us a gun, and that meant that the Germans, that many more men they had to fight. We left Stalag Luft IV February the 5th and walked every day, rain, shine, or whatever, with extremely small amount of food, and we walked the rest of the way across Poland. We lost approximately 2,000 men from starvation and dysentery. Nothing you could do about it. Poor fellow went out to the side and passed away. The poor German guards were probably as hungry as we were. They were elderly men that probably had already seen combat in one of the Eastern Fronts or the Western Fronts, and they were very sympathetic to us because they were in the same situation as we were.
When Merle told me about shooting down 3 German airplanes when his plane was shot down and he lost 4 of the crewmen that day, you really started thinking about, well, gosh, there must be more to that story. So I asked him one time, I said, well, Merle, I said, did you ever receive any decorations? He said, I received the Purple Heart for being burned. And when I thought about that, I said, my gosh, there must be more to this than that. And so just out of curiosity, I took his name and typed it in the internet. And a site came up, and it was the Military Times Hall of Valor. And it described a sergeant in the 15th Air Force who had been awarded the Silver Star, but then in parentheses, it said, citation needed. Well, that set off a lot of bells for me. So I contacted one of the researchers at Maxwell Air Force Base in the Air Force Archives. He says there was a fellow by that name who was awarded the Silver Star in 1945. And I said, in 1945? And I said, the award was made? He says, well, I don't know. He said the award was approved. I don't know if it was made or not. So I contacted a delegate by the name of Rich Anderson, who happens to be on the Veterans Affairs Committee here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. He said, we'll look into it. And he was immediately receptive. We had identified that everything that Merle said that he had done was in fact the truth, and that he was a forgotten hero. But I think all of us were determined that he wasn't going to be forgotten in his lifetime, that he was in fact going to be recognized.
He's the sole responsibility of me receiving that. He kept information from me for months and months and months. He quizzed me, unbeknown to me what he was seeking. And about 8 or 9 months later, it was sprung upon me.
By his conspicuous gallantry, determination, and devotion to duty, Technical Sergeant Hancock has reflected great credit upon himself and the armed forces of the United States of America.
I felt extremely proud. Greatest honor that was ever bestowed upon me. I cried. I was happy to be an American, happy to be associated with such fine people.